Hi Cynthia. Hi Laura. Oh, Laura's with the baby. Laura's with the baby.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's a sweet baby. And the baby got dumped on you this weekend, right, Laura?
Her parents on her honeymoon.
Oh, how sweet. Well, she's precious.
Hi, Michelle.
Yeah, she's gonna be doing it with us this weekend.
Yay, awesome. Hi, Michelle. How are you? Oh, you don't have
She's
to
on
unplug.
mute.
That's fine, she's muted. Hi, Nathaniel. Nathaniel, how are you?
Hello. I'm alive. I'm still recovering from this concussion. POTS has been making it a bit more complicated, but I'm here. I'm present.
Good. All right, well, just, take it easy, and it's so good that you're here, and that's helpful for, just putting the time in, being here, listening, hearing, learning, sharing, because we'll be doing a lot with the Gita tonight, of course. And
Great.
Michael, hi Michael, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine.
Good. You feeling better?
Yeah, I am feeling better.
Awesome, wonderful, well, welcome back. And Cynthia, I didn't get a chance to say how are you, but how are you? You're muted. There. Say it again. So, we're not hearing you, so for some reason, so don't worry about it. You don't have to say anything much unless you want to share with the Gita Share. But we're not hearing you for some reason. So, we're hearing everybody else. Nope, can't hear you now.
Hit the up arrow next to your microphone and switch it to the other mic. See if that helps.
Now say something. Modern technology.
It's great when it works.
All right, we're going to get started, and then as we start going through the Gita Share, we'll try to figure this out. Maybe you can send us some SOSs or something on over the wires.
Or type in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Too much work. Well, you have to get up and down and read, and it's not,
Okay.
But
Okay.
if you have a little small comment, that's good. If you've got a long one, you say,
Yeah.
that's the part I like. That works. Okay. All right. So, welcome tonight. We're just going to get started. Okay? This is September Energy Body Weekend, which I think is one of the funnest weekends, yeah? And I know Kelly does too. And so we'll be doing some of this you've been exposed to before. We'll be going over it with a little more detail. Some will be new, although it may not be new to you. You probably have heard of chakras and so forth. But interweaving those with your body and with your yoga practice is what we're hoping you'll get more of a sense of as we go through this weekend. So let's just sit and settle and get started. So create a good seat. So open your hips to open your heart, and turn and rotate your upper inner thighs. Okay, and just create some spaciousness in the pelvic floor, so that you can feel more comfortable. If you can be on the top of your sit bones when you open the inner thighs, that's going to help you to sit up, more upright. So be there. And sitting upright with your eyes closed or softly focused. And just settle into where you are tonight, this night, as you sit and as you settle. So notice your breath. So notice your breath. Sense the breath moving, the natural breath, okay? So we don't have to we can, but we don't have to do anything special at the beginning, except to bring our awareness to the breath. When we are moving into the energy body, and the breath, of course, is the big part of the energy body, when we are connecting to our energy, it's all about awareness. And I think that's the value of studying subtle anatomy, which is the second aspect of anatomy when you take yoga. There's gross anatomy, physical anatomy, which, the bones, the muscles, and so forth, and learning those, but the subtle anatomy, it's subtle. And if something is subtle, it means that you have to be able to be still enough to sense it. And I think that's one of the magical things about learning the subtle body anatomy, about learning the vayus and the koshas and the chakras, and connecting to the bandhas when you do another pranayama practice that's a little deeper than simply your normal natural breath. So just settle and notice what you notice in your breath as you start tonight. How does it feel? How would you describe its texture, its length, its depth? Maybe you don't have words. How could you describe it if you were talking to somebody? Does it feel like it's easy as you inhale and exhale? Does it take a little more effort on one end of the breath than the other? There are two sides, the inhale and the exhale. So just noticing what we notice about the breath is what begins to take us inside when we start our yoga practice. So just connect to your breath. Just notice your breath right here, right now. And as we start tonight, I was looking for some inspirational poetry before I came, and I looked at energy body and other things, but I kept coming back to this idea of autumn. And so this is a poem that I like. It's by Mary Oliver, one of my favorite poets. And this is called A Song for Autumn. In the deep fall, don't you imagine the leaves thick, and think how comfortable it will be to touch the earth instead of the nothingness of the air and the endless freshness of wind? And don't you think the trees themselves, especially those with mossy, warm caves, begin to think of the birds that will come, 6, a dozen, to sleep inside their bodies? And don't you hear the goldenrod whispering goodbye, the everlasting being crowned with the first tuffets of snow? The pond vanishes, and the white field over which the fox runs so quickly brings out its blue shadows. And the wind pumps its bellows. And at evening especially, the piled firework shifts a little bit, longing to be on its way. So I love this time of year, the fall, and so that poem just set well as I was reading tonight, and I'm anticipating the smell of fires and the crunch of leaves, and when we're at this time of the year, which is the changing of the seasons from a weather standpoint and an Ayurvedic standpoint, and in our yoga program, we're coming to the fall, at the end of the yoga teacher training program. So it's an auspicious time of the year. So please bring your palms together at your heart center. Let's add to the auspiciousness, and we'll chant 3 ohms, 3 rounds of our invocation to get us started tonight. So please exhale fully, then inhale and join me, or just listen. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Vavatu, Saha Viryam Karavavahai, Tejasvina Vaditamastu, Ma Vidishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Vavatu, Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadintamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Vavatu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadintamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In the fullness of your heart, please bow. Release your hands to your thighs, softly lift your chin, open your eyes. Stretch your legs out if you like. And let's get this party started with some Gita Share, yeah? All right. All right, so we are, and that's the size of the legs.
I'm gonna take one of the bulbs and know what size we're using.
Good.
Are we back to the light bulbs?
Yeah. It's, yeah. All right, so we're on chapters 15 and 16. We're getting close. 2 more next time you'll be done. What's that?
I could bring my blocks on like you said
I bring Vita's emotional support.
You know what?
unit.
Yes. Oh, that might work well. 'Cause look,
She
I've
travels with it everywhere.
highlighted in so many different colors, I can no longer read the text, which makes it extra hard. Oh, thank you, Kels. It's like having an apprentice. Oh, no, it's not.
What did you say?
I said it's like having an apprentice. Oh, no, it's not. You know I'm kidding.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We do.
But I mean, being able to have an apprentice is a wonderful thing.
Yes.
Those of you who have apprenticed with me,
Yes.
you know I love apprentices. Not only for what they do, what they teach, but for what they do and how they anticipate the teacher's needs. It's so lovely. It's like, oh, you need this? Oh, yes, thank you. All right, so chapter 15, let's see what I can do here. The Supreme Self. So this is, all right, so it's interesting, I have 15 and 16. 15 and 16. 15 is it's a difficult chapter according to Eknath Eswaran. And 16 is the most unusual chapter. So there you go. So if you had any issues with reading these, maybe that is why, because it's a little different. On all the previous parts of the Gita, Krishna has talked about the good. You know, it's focused on the good and how to keep the good going, you know, and how to do the good things to get to the good place, if you will. I'm simplifying it. Now he's starting to get into and it's not been religious, but now he's getting into more of what they're gone?
I think Linda must have it in RRR.
Oh, she got it.
We have the lights that point up, but I don't think it's gonna help you.
Yeah, I don't think so either. That's all right. I'll read it. If I can't read a word, somebody can. You guys think? Okay. So anyway, now he's talking about. He said it's a little more religious, and because he's talking about the Lord of all, and what is entailed in the Lord. So he talks about Krishna is the cosmic Lord, and he is the essence of all the light, but he's also the place at which everybody wants to go when they have been through all of the work to get to the other side, where they don't have to come back again, where they don't have to be reborn, but they never will be Krishna. Krishna is still Krishna, and he is the Lord of all, and yet he distributes a piece of himself in all of us through the Atman. Okay, so it's, you know, he's the big other. He shares the big other as being part of us. We long to get more into the fullness of who we are and what we are, and be closer. The way I look at it is we're closer in spirituality to what Krishna represents. Okay? That's how I look at it, that we are living a life that's more like the kind of life he suggests that we live with karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga. Okay, so being on the path, to use the different steps depending on where we are on the path, whether it's donating more time and doing things free of charge, and not necessarily free of charge, but giving more without hope of any reward, whether it's constant adoration of this higher power, or whether it's studying the scriptures, studying ourselves, going deeper. We all can go through all of those different things as we go on our spiritual path to get to the point where when we die, we will be at a place where we won't have to come back again and be reborn. If that's your belief, that's what's here. I also like in this chapter this paradox of the upside down tree, the pipali tree, the what is it? The ashpada. It's a fig tree, and it's considered sacred because it's grown upside down. So there's roots in the ground, but it also grows up, and then there are roots in the sky that come back down. So it's the best of all things. Yeah, it's like rooting you down, but it's also there's more to reach up for, but then it comes back down and keeps grounding you. So you keep being reborn, right? And that's how I kind of look at it. But
Yeah, well, like if it's upside down, the roots are rooted in spirit.
oh, okay, got it.
Right, that's fine.
Okay. Well, it's a banyan tree that has roots down here, and roots that come up that way.
Yeah, and this is in the same family.
In the same
This
family.
tree is the same.
Yeah. So this one is upside down. The roots are actually in the sky, in the other realm. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Okay. That's what I meant to say. What she said. Okay, good. See, it's not. I think it's not simple.
No,
It's fine.
it's not simple.
It's not simple.
No.
Just when I think I understand it,
Yeah.
it's like, oh no, that's not exactly what it was. What I like about this, well, reverse I chose, so I'll go back to this. So another thing that coming from this chapter, what Eswarn says at the front, talks about that Krishna and Vishnu, right? Not Par Krishna, right? So Vishnu took 3 steps, and I read this 20 times, but I really looked at it today, and it's really like, oh my gosh. So he takes 3 steps. That is in. Have I gotten ahead of myself? Is that the next chapter? Is it this one, isn't it?
No, I think it's this one.
Okay, no, here he is. So Vishnu took 3 steps that measured out the entire cosmos. So, let's see, Pada also means foot. I gotta be able to read this. Right. All right, so the first is the foot. Okay, what are the first 3? It's the ancient myth of the Vedas. According to beginning of time, measured out. Okay, the third and highest step became a heavenly world, the realm of the blessed. All right, so I like that because this is where 3 comes in too. So the first step, the beginning, and this is sustaining, and then the higher realm, right? Which would be a dissolution to get to the higher realm. So there's that, but I like that there's 3 again. The 3 aspects of Om, the 3 aspects of most of the many of the Hindu deities, and so I like this 3. And then, 108 is divisible by 3, 12 is divisible by 3. So many of the numbers that have significance in Hindu mythology and in Indian literature can be divided by 3. So 3 has significance. So this is another little aspect of 3. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Okay, talks about, so that's, and here, talked about the vayus. He talked about 2 vital vayus, of which prana and Krishna. Krishna is the prana, the breath or vitality of the body, all right? And especially prana, the incoming, feeding the heart, feeding the body, feeding the soul, and samana, which is the digestive part. So Krishna, the air of life, the life force, is big in those areas, and there's a reference to it here as well. So now you should know that in your study notes, we talk about the 2 significant types of vayus that you'll hear, especially in yoga class and others. Does anybody know those 2?
Pranavayu, apana.
Yeah, prana and apana. That's what you'll hear more discussed in a yoga class. We talk about grounding through apana vayu, prana vayu, the energy of life, keeping things moving. You'll hear that more in yoga classes and so forth. But in the Gita here, in this particular chapter, he's talking about Krishna being significant as part of pranavayu and samana. And samana is the discrimination, it's the digestion, it's the, understanding everything and bringing meaning to it, yeah? So those were significant to my way of thinking for chapter 15. All right, now chapter 16, the two paths. All right, so this is that was the difficult chapter because it brings in some theology, and this is the most unusual chapter, and because here, this is where Krishna has spent almost the rest of the Gita talking about the positive aspects of making your way through your yogic path to unite with him. Now he's talking about the demonic part, and he doesn't dwell on it much, but he talks about, the not so good aspects of life. And so this is probably the first time that he really, that's his full chapter talking about it. So it says usually Krishna here changes his tone, and usually he talks about the light side of human affairs. Now he's going into the demonic side, and he said, that's what Warren says, don't get too hung up on the word demon, because it's not, the Hindu gods and goddesses are always having to battle demons. They're like bad spirits that come in, and it's not like, it's not like, I guess, Marvel Comics, the demon of the world or whatever. But, it's someone that they have to see. I look at it as being representative of problems and issues and things that come up, And we can joke about our demons, that's, eating too much or staying up too late, right? They can become your demons. But this talk here, he's specifically talking about demonic personalities, and talks about one of the least likable characteristics is the sense of self-importance. And all I could think about was the political situation nowadays. You know what I mean? Well, all of them are so self-important. All of them. It just drives me crazy.
It does, turns it off. It turns me off. I don't want to hear. But I want to be informed, but I don't want to be influenced but they don't draw me in any kind of way to be interested in them.
Well, they don't, the demonic personality is not concerned about truth or, factual argument.
That's why I'm not interested.
Good debate or giving the other person, a benefit of the doubt to share and to hear. It's all about their self-importance. So,
right.
That's what I think there too. Let's see, the cycle goes, okay. But he also says that even though they are the way they are, and they will not advance to the place of light where Krishna dwells, they won't advance there. They'll be reborn again, probably and again and again and again. But they always have the choice to do things differently. It may take 20 lifetimes or 1,000 lifetimes before they get the picture that it's, they're doing something that's not working out right? So they're never necessarily lost. And he says that in the Gita earlier. No one is ever lost. And so it's just that it may take a long time to get to a place where they're happier with themselves and that everyone else is too. Let's see. I think that's mostly it. I think that's good. So the theological aspects in 15, a little bit more of, and the demonic personalities in 16, that's kind of the biggest gist, if you could summarize in a couple of words. So, that said, who would like to start out tonight on Gita Share? Let everybody go at once.
I'll go.
I was waiting. Okay, sorry.
Usually it's Mary Beth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will go if you want me to.
Okay.
Go, girl.
Okay. All right. So chapter 15. So I'm going to do the second paragraph, 2 until 4, I guess. I'm sorry. Chapter 15, and it's really the second paragraph and the third paragraph.
Of which one?
Of chapter 15.
Oh, okay.
Nourished by the gunas, the limbs of this tree spread above and below. Sense objects grow on the limbs as buds. The roots hanging down bind us to action in this world. The true form of this tree, its essence, beginning and end, is not perceived on this earth. Cut down this strong-rooted tree with a sharp axe of detachment. Then find the path which does not come back again. Seek that, the first cause from which the universe came long ago. So I initially chose like the third paragraph, but the second kind of runs into it after research on what the heck this paragraph meant. Because I really didn't, like you were saying, like I just didn't get it. Like why are we cutting down this really cool tree? And that's kind of a tree nerd in me too. But I did some research and I looked at like 3 other, I guess, how they look at what the Gita is saying in this chapter, and it was enlightening that the sense objects that they're talking about growing down on the limbs as buds are actually those buds generate desires within us. And I didn't like that was kind of new to me, like the desires and the materialistic wanting and everything. So thus, that's why they want you to chop down the tree with a sharp axe of detachment, because the tree represents the material existence. I thought that was pretty cool. But then I didn't understand the whole find the path which does not come back again. And I really never got an answer on the not come back again, but it generally meant to go look for the base, because the supreme source of the material world, and it'll lead you to freedom of pride and delusion. But I don't know whether either of you have any more to say, like, because I really didn't understand then find the path which does not come back again, which I guess meant like letting go of its materialistic aspects.
And not being reborn.
Yeah.
Not coming back to be reborn. So if you find the path that takes you on your spiritual path to enlightenment, if you will, right? Then you won't have to be reborn because you've done all the steps. So if you cut through detachment, those buds that are sensual desires, and you can ignore them and do your dedicated study, and you're on the path to enlightenment. If you get enlightened, you don't have to come back.
Right.
But if you stay connected to all those little buds, you'll just have to keep coming back. And it's like the roots that keep right from the root down again and again and again.
All right. So there was no personal, like I just thought it was very cool, and it just perplexed me because I thought about it for days. Like I just don't get it, and I even went back to it again. So anyway, I will read it again. Nourished by the gunas, the limbs of this tree spread above and below. Sense objects grow on the limbs as buds. The roots hanging down bind us to action in this world. The true form of this tree, its essence, beginning, and end, is not perceived on this earth. Cut down the strong-rooted tree with a sharp axe of detachment. Then find the path which does not come back again. Seek that, the first cause from which the universe came long ago.
Thank you, Mary Beth. All right. So the way you're on my screen, Michelle, you're next.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I had a tough time with this one too. You guys remember my puppy from like back in May?
Yes.
No. I'm gonna try to be part of this. So I chose chapter 16. It's actually the first paragraph. Be fearless and pure, never waver in your determination or your dedication to the spiritual life. Give freely. Be self-controlled, sincere, truthful, loving, and full of the desire to serve. Realize the truth of the scriptures, learn to be detached, and to take joy in renunciation. I had an experience this past week where I had to attend an event with people I didn't know well, and I was kind of put in a group where everybody else knew each other. And it became pretty clear to me, like within the first minutes, that I was like very different than the rest of them. I think just socially, politically, and otherwise. And it was a very uncomfortable, like 2 hours to sit through. And somehow this chapter just kind of reminded me of that night, of how different, like they, just for some examples, we've got to talking about people coming into our country and them saying that the borders are way too wide, and just kind of who are we supposed to turn away, just different things. And it was like an experience where I was the only person of color in this whole kind of setting. And it was just painful. And I wanted to leave, but didn't know how to do it gracefully. And then I eventually did manage to find an exit strategy. And then I left. So when I was reviewing chapter 60 today, it reminded me a lot of that night, just kind of talking about, again, I don't want to call it demonic, like you were saying, Lucy, but just about like differences and about greed and priorities. And I guess that's a good way to put it, that just kind of my beliefs and priorities were very different than those I was with.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really tough when someone has such divergent views from you, and you want to inform them. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Yeah. I'm glad you got out.
Yeah, I'm glad I got out too. Fearless and pure, never waver in your determination or your dedication to the spiritual life. Give freely, be self-controlled, sincere, truthful, loving, and full of the desire to serve. Realize the truth of the scriptures, learn to be detached, and to take joy in renunciation.
Thanks, Michelle. Michael, do you want to share? Do you want to share, Michael?
Yeah, give me a second. I was feeding my face. Sorry.
Okay.
So hold on, give me one. Dang it, lost the page.
Okay.
All right.
Do you want us to come back to you?
Yeah, come back to me.
All right, I'll come back to you. So Cynthia, would you like to share?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, yay.
I'm sorry, I think it's probably because my volume was too high. Yes, so the one that I read and I got stuck with it is actually chapter 16, verse 24, the last verse. Therefore, let the scripture be your guide in what you do and what not to do. Understand their teachings, then act in accordance with them. So after reading the whole thing of telling us how we shouldn't be greedy, we shouldn't act to the urge of lust and anger, I have really been trying to live like that and to live right spiritual principles, and I see that they are working for me. So I really like the last part because it really, it told me what I've been trying to do, and I want to stick to it because it's working for me.
Good. Makes sense. Sense to me.
Yes, so I'll read it again.
Good.
Therefore, let the scriptures be your guide, what to do and what not to do. Understand their teachings, then act in accordance with them.
Good. Thanks, Cynthia.
You're welcome.
Laura, you want to share?
16. So, actually verses 1 and 2 of chapter 16. Fearless and pure, never waver in your determination or your dedication to the spiritual life. Give freely, be self-controlled, sincere, truthful, loving, and full of the desire to serve. Realize the truth of the scriptures, learn to be detached, and to take joy in renunciation. Do not get angry or harm any living creature, but be passionate and gentle. Show goodwill to all. I like that one because I feel like those are good rules that people can live by. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be to the dedication of a spiritual life. That's my life on
I think we're losing you.
it. Can you not hear me?
You're fading away.
I'm sitting right here. I don't know. Well, okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you hear me?
Yes.
Want me to read it again?
Yes, please.
Okay.
No, just tell us what your. Did you say what your? What this?
Yeah,
I didn't hear.
I can repeat it. I know. I just think it's like good rules to live by. For anyone, it doesn't necessarily have to be dedicating yourself to spiritual life. It could just be living a good life. So that's it. Kind of like rules for being a good person, kind of.
Yeah. Like you are now. All right, you want to read it again?
Yeah. Be fearless and pure. I know. Never waver in your determination or your dedication to the spiritual life. Give freely. Be self-controlled, sincere, truthful, and loving, and full of desire to serve. Realize the truth of the scriptures. Learn to be detached and take joy in renunciation. Do not get angry or harm any living creature, but be passionate, compassionate, and gentle. Show goodwill to all.
Thank you, Laura. Michael, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. So
Okay.
I'm reading this one right here in chapter 16,
Okay.
and it's paragraph 6, and this really hits home with me right now because I've been going through a phase where I've been comparing myself to other people, especially since some of my friends have become teachers and they have risen on the social totem pole per se. So this is what got my attention. It says some people have divine tendencies, others demonic. I have described the divine at length. Aranjana, now listen while I describe the demonic. And it says, the demonic do things they should avoid and avoid the things they should do. They have no sense of uprightness, purity, or truth. And so what really got my attention was that you know you don't know what people are like going through in life, and that's why, like, in a lot of ways, this is what I got from it, is that you don't know what people are going through in life, and that you really shouldn't compare yourself to other people, and that we all are on our own path. It might not be the standard, uh go to college and get married and stuff, but we're all on our own path. That struck me.
Yep. Yep. Makes sense to me. Good. Good. Excellent. Do you want to read it again?
Yeah, sure. So it says some people have divine tendencies, others demonic. I have described the divine at length. Aranjana, now listen while I describe the demonic. The demonic do things they should avoid and avoid things they should do. They have no sense of uprightness, purity, or truth.
Thank you, Michael. Nathaniel, do you feel like sharing?
Yeah, sure. So I was kind of doing a similar area with chapter 16, verses 7 through 11. So kind of piggybacking off of Michael's selected section. The demonic do things they should avoid and avoid the things they should do. They have no sense of uprightness, purity, or faith. There is no God, they say, no truth, no spiritual law, no moral order. The basis of life is sex. What else can it be? Holding such distorted views, possessing scant discrimination, they become enemies of the world, causing suffering and destruction. Hypocritical, proud, and arrogant, living in delusion and clinging to deluded ideas, insatiable in their desires, they pursue their unclean ends. Although burdened with fears that end only with death, they still maintain with complete assurance gratification of lust is the highest that life can offer. Now, this kind of rang, it kind of hit pretty deep for me. Not only because I've known a lot of people who are like this, but also because I have tendencies like this myself. And I think the one thing I'm a little iffy about is the way that they sort of divide people into two categories of people who have divine tendencies and people who have demonic tendencies. I think a more accurate way of looking at it would be that every human has the potential for divine and demonic tendencies, and that we, the whole goal of yoga is to sort of cultivate those divine tendencies, right, and mitigate the demonic tendencies. And I, as somebody who's had addiction in the past and who's known people with addiction, I could absolutely say that I have been somebody who has done things that they should avoid and avoided things they should do, a lot, actually, and to the point where in those sort of states, it does feel like desire and maybe not lust in like a sexual sense, but like lust for a sensation or some kind of thing, right? That is, something you've used as a coping mechanism for a long time that's just become really ingrained, and it just like having a lust for that, and can cause you to kind of spiral into those demonic behaviors and ways of thinking. And I guess for me it sort of struck a chord because I would look in the mirror, hypothetically, and be like, well, am I like somebody who who has demonic tendencies, that doesn't mean that I'm, like this horrible sinner or something, or that anybody who struggles with those. And I've known people, who have these behaviors kind of because of the way they grew up or their backgrounds, and they just never had any tender, loving kindness in their lives at all, or their families were not functional, or that sort of thing. And they have these demonic tendencies, and they didn't have the self-awareness to really ever be able to realize that the way that they are acting and thinking is wrong and self-destructive and destructive to other people. And I've even had to cut off friends who were that way because when I was struggling, people like that, you ever hear the term crabs in a bucket, where it's like crabs trying to crawl out of the bucket and the other crabs are grabbing at the crab trying to escape to pull him back in. That sort of thing, because deep down they're seeing somebody who's trying to improve themselves and help try and be a little more altruistic and change their priorities, and it makes them feel something akin to insecurity or questioning themselves. Wait a minute, am I living wrong? And that's for a lot of people who've never who don't have the ability to look at themselves, that's as far as it gets. They just get angry, or jealous or anything like that, and yeah, so I guess it just reminded me of that sort of experience that I've had with myself and with friends of mine and other people I've met, and just very thought-provoking in general. So
I think the crabs in the bucket is really good. It's holding on, trying to hold on. Somebody tries to get out, but they're trying to keep them down. And I think it's not so much that I think if I look at myself, I know I don't have demonic tendencies, but I do have a tendency towards lusting for something I shouldn't have, and then I have to back off that. So that's why, as far as point, don't get too hung up on the demonic name and the, because it's mostly, from my way of thinking, it's like you said, Nathaniel, or if I understood, is that people that aren't exposed to, it all comes from self-awareness, and if they don't know how to become aware of how they're feeling, what they're feeling, what's going on inside, all they know to do is to act out in ways that they've learned that aren't necessarily good. So that's what yoga's about, to do the inner work. Yoga's an inside job. You do the inner work, yeah? So we're lucky in that we can come to this place and do this inner work, and we can look at these tendencies that are classified here as demonic as being normal and natural for everybody. It's just that you have to learn to mitigate them. You've given to that extra piece of chocolate now and then, you're not going to go to hell. But the point is, you know that you don't want to do it all the time. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's once again, it's a matter of balance. Yeah, yoga's about balance. Yeah, so the things that we learn in yoga, balance, self-awareness, that's how we change ourselves first, and then the world. Good insight.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll read it again.
All right, thanks, Nathaniel.
The demonic do things they should avoid and avoid the things they should do. They have no sense of uprightness, purity, or truth. There is no God, they say, no truth, no spiritual law, no moral order. The basis of life is sex. What else can it be? Holding such distorted views, possessing scant discrimination, they become enemies of the world, causing suffering and destruction. Hypocritical, proud, and arrogant, living in delusion and clinging to deluded ideas, insatiable in their desires, they pursue their unclean ends. Although burdened with fears that end only with death, they still maintain with complete assurance, gratification of lust is the highest that life can offer.
Thanks, Nathaniel. And Liz.
I chose chapter 16, verse 5, page 238. The divine qualities lead to freedom, the demonic to bondage. But do not grieve, Arjuna, you were born with divine attributes. This one resonated with me because I've spent, I'd say the last maybe like 3 years really trying to cultivate like self-control and discipline. I was never like an alcoholic or anything, but I gave up alcohol and started exercising, started doing yoga and meditating, and like really trying to heal the parts of me that always were drawn towards, the lusty things. So when it said like the divine qualities lead to freedom, so for me, like that work and self-control and truthfulness with myself, like I feel like has led to more freedom in my life. For instance, like the freedom of routine, and that those other things felt way more binding. So I'll read it again. The divine qualities lead to freedom, the demonic to bondage, but do not grieve, Arjuna, you were born with divine attributes.
Thank you, Biz. Magic.
I chose page 238. Verse 2.
Could you speak up just a little bit?
Verse 2 through the end of that paragraph. Do not get angry or harm any living creature, but be compassionate and gentle. Show goodwill to all, cultivate vigor, patience, will, purity, avoid malice and pride. Then Arjuna, you will achieve your divine destiny. When reading that and they're talking about not getting angry, I was kind of thinking more so like, did it mean rage? I know it didn't say that, but I had to look at what rage was, and it just said rage was uncontrollable. And from where I sit, I see anger as a normal human emotion, and being someone who spent a lot of time numbing how he feels, to be able to feel it now and have it explained to me in a way that it's just me being upset with something or not agreeing with something or however else I want to put it. And that can lead to good change and growth that might need to actually happen in my world or somebody else's. And to me, to not actually feel bad would be me not listening to my body, and something that I might need to change. Or it might be people I need to change, or places, or just whatever. And being able to listen, and that's something I work particularly hard to do, and it just kind of struck a chord with me. And as long as I know what to do with said anger, then I don't see it as a bad thing.
And I think that's the key. I think anger is a normal emotion. It's a healthy emotion. The thing is to figure out why the anger and whether it's something. For me, if I'm angry about something, it's like, what can I do with this anger? You know, and what's causing it? Is frustration because of this? Is it, is it misunderstanding? Is it, so it's anger can cover a whole lot. And it's like, what is it that's making me angry now? And is it totally coming from me and out of place? Do I feel maybe it's justified? In which case, do I need to talk to somebody else? So I think anger is just an indication of something that needs attention. Yeah. So righteous anger has gotten us a lot of good things in this nation. Yeah. And so we need to. It's not necessarily. That's why the titles in these things and the captions on different things, they're not black and white. Do you know, right? I mean, it's so much, and the whole Gita, it's poetic in nature. It's prose, but it's poetic in nature as well. So just like with the sutras, where you have it's clipped and you get to read into it what makes sense for you, I think it's that way here as well. It's like, what's resonating with you? And so looking at your anger, figuring it out, figuring out what to do with it, that to me is healthy. Okay.
And that's the yoga too, right? It's
Yeah.
Understanding yourself and channeling that anger into something that's productive.
Yeah, exactly.
I like what you said. What did you say? That anger is an indication that something needs attention.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, yes, and that's what it is for me. I'm like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? Why am I angry? Am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired? I mean, some of that, am I tired? Didn't I sleep well? Did I misunderstand a text that didn't have any emotion, you know, you couldn't see any emotional stuff with that. And I walk back up and I go, oh, you know what? It's not. And so it's like, yeah, it's like looking at things is an indication to look a little more, yeah, right? Don't you think? Cool. All right. You want to read it again?
Do not get angry or harm any living creature, but be compassionate and gentle. Show goodwill to all, cultivate vigor, patience, will, purity. Avoid malice and pride, then or shame, you will achieve your divine destiny.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Debbie?
I picked a chapter in 15 on page 233 and 34. Starts with verse 12. The brightness of the sun which lights up the world, the brightness of the moon and of fire, these are my glory. With a drop of my energy, I enter the earth and support all creatures. Through the moon, the vessel of life-giving fluid, I nourish all plants. And I picked 12 and 13 because I was on vacation on Lake Huron in Canada a week ago, and it's post-season, so the lake looks like an ocean and there's no boat traffic, and it's very calm and very still. And I was mentioning earlier that my tapas came through that experience too, but also this, because it made me pay attention to the sunrises and the sunsets and being in nature, and thinking about sunset especially. Through the moon, the vessel of life-giving fluid, I nourish all plants. In my new neighborhood, lots of my neighbors have put up those little lights that light up the pathway or spotlight a tree or spotlight a plant. And I think it's beautiful, right? Because it's pretty. It's almost like romantic when you're like walking through the neighborhood. But I read an article recently that said they're not so good for plants because they don't give them time to rest with that artificial light. Yeah, so I have to do more investigation on it, but it made me immediately say, as much as I think they're beautiful, I'm not going to do it because I want my plants to rest. I spend a lot of time, nurturing my garden and the trees and stuff, and not to do that. But that was like a secondary part of picking the chapter when I was on vacation, just really appreciating nature and the divine spirituality in all of it, just the awe of the sunrise, the sunset, the trees, and the water. It was just, I don't know, that just spoke to me this time.
Very cool.
The brightness of the sun which lights up the world, the brightness of the moon and of fire, these are my glory. With a drop of my energy, I enter the earth and support all creatures. Through the moon, the vessel of life-giving fluid, I nourish all plants.
Thank you, Debbie.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew?
Yeah, I didn't either, I know.
Brigid.
I picked the same verse. So chapter 15, verse 13. With a drop of my energy, I enter the earth and support all creatures. Through the moon, the vessel of life-giving fluid, I nourish all plants. And kind of keeping it short and sweet, I kind of interpreted this as more like we are all connected, whether it be a mouse or a roach or something I deem as gross, or a friend or a loved one or a stranger or whatever religion, political denomination, ethnicity, whatever it is, like we're all connected, we're all one, and plants too, like, it's just kind of leading into chapter 16 to treat things gently and kindly, and going back chapters of being detached too. It's kind of like it all kind of comes together that we're all connected, we're all one, and whether it be an animal, a human, a plant, we all share this earth and we all have to take care of it. With the drop of my energy, I enter the earth and support all creatures. Through the moon, the vessel of life-giving fluid, I nourish all plants.
Thank you, Brigid. We are all one. We just forget it, huh?
Oh, that's a nice one. I looked at that one too, but I actually chose a different one. chapter 15, so 7 through 9.
Oh, you
Yes.
Of course. You do that, then I'll take it.
You can do the same one. And this is Krishna talking. An eternal part of me enters into the world, assuming the powers of action and perception and a mind made of Prakriti. When the divine self enters and leaves a body, it takes these along as the wind carries a scent from place to place. Actually, just 7 and 8, that was where I stopped. So the Gita is prose, but you can read it like poetry, as you just said. And I like to read it for like the feeling that it brings up in me. And this was definitely one of those. And for I guess a few different reasons, like the idea that Krishna is eternal, he is consciousness and is everywhere, and yet he enters into the world, and he enters into the world assuming powers of action and perception. So this is what the mind does. The mind has motor organs and sensory organs so that it can do things in the world, and yet there's this underlying, connection to that place where we are all one, and that just is very hopeful to me, because we're here and we're expressing ourselves in our own way, and yet there's like some deeper sort of order or just awareness that is also acting. And a mind made of Prakriti. So Prakriti, of course, is nature, right? Like what we see all around us. And as much as possible, I like to be outdoors whenever I can and take hikes and things like that. And in the next place, he offers, as wind carries a scent from place to place. So the self enters and leaves the body in the same way that wind carries a scent. So it's really subtle, right? And I mean, whether you believe in reincarnation or not, it's like there is an exchange of energy.
Yes.
And one of my first meditation teachers, we would meditate outside a lot, and he would talk about how, when you feel the wind on your skin, that's like the movement of the divine. And so it just brought up a really good memory for me in that way. And of course, scent is not a thing that you can like touch, but you can experience it, and so it's like a little more subtle than something that's tangible. And so there were just several different things in there. It was like, oh yeah, I like to read the Gita. I love to practice yoga. After all kinds of, it's still, my life is, I was telling Debbie, my life is more complicated. You will know why these days, and so it's like nice to have those moments of relief. And so reading this was that for me.
Yes.
An eternal part of me enters into the world, assuming the powers of action and perception and a mind made of Prakriti. When the divine self enters and leaves a body, it takes these along as the wind carries a scent from place to place.
Lovely. Thank you, Kelly. All right, and then building on what Kelly just said, I'm going to pick up, because I was going to read several things. So all right. So I'm going to pick up with verse 9 through 11. All right, so 9, using the mind, ears, eyes, nose, and the senses of taste and touch, the self, big S, enjoys sense objects. The deluded do not see the self when it leaves the body or when it dwells within it. They do not see the self enjoying sense objects or acting through the goodness. But they who have the eye of wisdom see. Those who strive resolutely on the path of yoga see the self within. The thoughtless who strive imperfectly do not. So picking up, and these are the tapas, these are the organs of perception. So the idea is then when we talked about tapas early on, just expose you to them initially, but the way that we were manifested from the divine is through the senses, okay? Sound was the first, and then actually the precursor to sound, and the organs of sound, and then the sound itself. And so all of those are step downs about how we were created through sense organs, okay? Basically. And so that's how the life force comes into us. So, and we have Maya, which is the cloaking that the divine covers the delusion, the illusion that the mind, that the divine creates, so that the divine can come down and enjoy living through us, okay? So there is an enjoyment to life too, and certainly from a householder perspective, from a tantric perspective, we're here to enjoy with the senses. It's when we get too attached to them, when we have the lust that keeps us attached too much in one direction. But it's okay to, from my way of thinking, have a glass of wine, have, provided it doesn't bother you. I don't drink, but, if you want to, have some wine, have some food, have some sex, have some things, have some that, and all with consciousness attached to them. You know what I mean? That's enjoying. It's when one becomes lustful and those become the objects that rule everything, when they take over, and one forgets that this is all from the divine qualities we've been given, embodied in this life, that we get to live this life is just amazing, yeah. And so the demonic, he doesn't use the word here, but those who, the thoughtless, he calls them the thoughtless, who strive imperfectly. And I have a hard time with perfect, but you know what I mean. But we strive to live a good life. We strive to live a good life, to enjoy the sense objects, and then let them go. Yeah, that's how I look at it. So that's how, when I read that, that's exactly what I see. That yogis who do the self-study are aware of this and know, I know when I've had too much to eat, or stayed out too late, or watched a TV program that won't let me sleep later. That's too much, I know that. And sometimes I do it anyway, because I'm human. But it's just that some people will just go, oh, I don't know why I can't sleep, and they're doing the same stuff all night long, they're doing things and they're not aware. So I'm going on and on. But do you know what I mean? It's kind of like the life of a yogi, and what we're on the path to do is to learn how to enjoy life, but to be able to let it go. Okay? That's how I'm summing that up. So, using the mind, ears, eyes, nose, and the senses of taste and touch, the self enjoys sense objects. The deluded do not see the self when it leaves the body or when it dwells within it. They do not see the self enjoying sense objects or acting through the goodness. But they who have the eyes of wisdom see. Those who strive resolutely on the path of yoga see the self within. The thoughtless who strive imperfectly do not. All right. So I'm going to ring the bell on that one. And last but hardly least, Chris.
I'm going to talk about a passage that's been covered by other people, but I find it fascinating that we all just interpret different things from it. So chapter 16, verses 1 and 2. Be fearless and pure, never waver in your determination or your dedication to the spiritual life. Give freely. Be self-controlled, sincere, truthful, loving, and full of the desire to serve. Realize the truth of the scriptures. Learn to be detached and to take joy in renunciation. Do not get angry or harm any living creature, but be compassionate and gentle. Show goodwill to all. I was really struck by these two verses because I feel like they're the yamas. Every single thing they mention is the yamas in here, and I was like, oh, there's self-control, brakyama, goodwill, asteya, sincerity and truthfulness, satya, compassionate and loving, ahimsa, give freely, aparigraha. Like every single thing is mentioned in those first two verses. And I feel like this was laying out the yogic path, or at least the beginning of it. So that's why I was struck by it.
Nice.
So be fearless and pure, never waver in your determination or your dedication to the spiritual life, give freely. Be self-controlled, sincere, truthful, loving, and full of the desire to serve. Realize the truth of the scriptures, learn to be detached and to take joy in renunciation. Do not get angry or harm any living creature, but be compassionate and gentle, show goodwill to all.
Thank you, Chris. Oh, Miriam! Miriam! Yay! Miriam, do you want to share? We're finishing. Will you be the last one on Gita Share? Would you like to share?
Or she doesn't know she's on mute, maybe?
Yeah, you're muted, Miriam, if you want to. You're muted, Miriam, if you want to share anything. All right, I'm thinking Right? Let's see, what did you say? I'm trying to. Oh, okay. All right, so Miriam, we're not going to cause you any more stress. Great day, Miriam. You take a breath and relax. I'll close the Gita Share for tonight. If you have anything you want to say to us later, you may. All right, there's closing the Gita. All right, what's next? Well, I think that's Asana practice. 5-minute break? Yeah, 5-minute break. So 5-minute break, then we'll do Asana. Yeah? Brigid. Oh, yeah, okay. Since I'm here. Yeah. Oh, Miriam went out again. She's having troubles. Technical troubles. Okay.
Can you guys hear me okay now?
Yes, we can hear you, Miriam.
Sorry. Okay. Thanks.
Did you want to share something when we come back from the break, or do you want to just pass on that tonight?
No, I'm okay. I'm just glad you guys can hear me okay. Thanks.
Okay, great. So I'm sorry, you're okay, meaning you want to share or you don't want to share?
No, I don't want to share.
Okay, fine. Totally fine.
Okay. Thanks, Ms.
Glad
Kevin.
we can hear you.
Me too. Thanks.
All right.
Are you ready for India?
No.
I haven't done my vaccinations yet, so I was tempted to do it yesterday, and I was like, no. I've got to, good choice. Hey, Elijah, whenever you can, you might want to just move your mat away from the wall just a few inches. Because I don't want you to punch the wall. Sounds like we're going to do some boxing, Elijah.
We'll just turn the camera.
Okay. You don't have to move. Okay. Unless you want to be. Whatever's easy. I like easy. Is my stuff in your way? I'm just going to go wide, that's all. Okay. Wide? You guys stay. Yeah, it's just, you know what, I'm going to curve. Okay, you curve. I'll be on the corner. You curve, Brigid. Just like a bow. Yeah. Bend, but do not break. Oh, there we go. Like a blade of grass. Yes. Or a tree. Yes. Sapling. Yeah, those baby trees are hard to kill. Yeah. You get
planted so many little tiny maples
Yes.
in our yard.
Yes.
But then,
Oh.
like, I've tried to replant them
Them? Oh,
before
yes.
and it never works.
Yeah. I think they have to get to a certain height before you can actually replant them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know we try to get them before the roots stick, but
Right.
yeah.
Right.
That's a good point. Our teacher said we need 2 blocks.
I'm the kind of person that I really want to plant.
You want me to?
Yes.
So that's what I'm thinking.
Well, we won't have.
All right, Brigid, I'm cold. We need to get us warmed up.
Don't worry. I have a tapas sequence for us. But it will start off a little slow. But don't worry.
Would we need blocks?
It's gonna be, you do need block snow belt.
Crow?
What? Crow? No. I learned from Kathy, teach what you like to do.
You don't like doing crow? I love
Do
doing
not
crow.
love crow. It's very humbling. I like to think that I have decent core strength, but that pose reminds me that I have a lot of work to do.
Which pose?
Crow.
Crow.
Yeah. I think it's my lower abs that were destroyed by getting a C-section.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn kids.
I know.
They're so worth it. It destroys your body.
They really did just ruin you.
Yeah, literally.
So anyways,
You said ruin your life?
just ruin
Life,
you.
body,
Well, everything
money.
you think you know, you
Money.
then don't know. Your kids will humble you.
So we're actually going to start in constructive rest. Like Elijah is my inspiration right
Oh,
now.
look at him.
So we're going to start in
Leading the way.
constructive rest.
Oh, so we should get down to constructive rest? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
So we'll wait for everybody. So if you just want to chill.
We'll start.
I'll start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't take a lot to
Good
convince
job,
me to
Brigid.
take a break.
Yeah, it's Friday night. It's time to chill a little bit.
Yeah. You're already at 5 stars, girl.
This is how I like to start. So like Kathy taught Mary Beth and I, teach what you like to do.
Yes.
And I took that to heart. I'm like, okay, I'm never teaching arm balances. No, I'm just kidding. I probably won't.
Remy says that too,
They're
though.
just not my favorite.
Yeah, she said that too.
Remy, like she says, she's like, teach how you practice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I just really kind of took that to heart and tried to come up with a sequence that I like to do.
Okay.
We're going to start in constructive rest. Elijah is our inspiration.
Great.
Yes. Thank you, Elijah. Starting in constructive rest. I'll time myself, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause- okay. So welcome everyone to Friday night. If you'd like to place your hand, one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. We'll just start off by practicing a little Ujjayi breath. And that's a powerful breath.
Today, if you don't sit and play with me.
And if you could mute yourself, that'd be great. Only because I just get distracted. But so you'll take an inhale in and an exhale out just to get started. Your next inhale in will be a little bit more powerful. Your next exhale out, you'll open your mouth and force it out in a open your mouth to get started. One more inhale in and exhale, force it out. I want everybody to share our divine breath. So I want us to carry this breath throughout the practice. I'll cue you for inhales, and if you can share your breath with your neighbor, that's wonderful. Once you get your Ujjayi going, close your mouth and exhale through your nose, keeping that same oceanic breath. From here, start to come back to the room. And we'll start by lengthening your entire body out. Arms overhead, legs straight long in front of you. legs straight long, just like you're waking up for the first time of the day. A nice big stretch. Inhale, and on your exhale, bend your knees, hug your knees into your chest. Exhale. Give yourself a nice big hug. So thankful for our practice tonight. And inhale, back long, straight, big stretch, long stretch. And exhale, back to your hug, hugging your knees. One more inhale, stretch out long. From here, we're going to walk our torso, arms over to the right corner of our mat, and our feet and our legs also to the right corner of our mat. Full body side stretch. Feeling that length, that space you're creating in your side, breathing into your lung. On your next inhale, come back to center and slide back over to the other side. Left corner of your mat, for your arms and legs. Feel that breath. Feel that length. Come back to center. Hug your knees in once more. Bringing your arms into a T position. And we'll let our legs fall over to the right. Into a nice gentle twist. Digesting our dinners, lengthening our spine, finding some space in our side body, our back body, making sure your shoulders are firmly rooted. And on your next inhale, come back to center, and then let your legs drop over to the other side, moving props that might be in the way, out of the way, whichever way that serves you. Feeling that length from the other side, your back. Feel free to turn your gaze the opposite direction of your knees. Inhale back to center. Give yourself one more big hug to your knees. And when you're ready, rock, rock, rock back up to seated. And meet me in Sukhasana, easy pose. Lift and spread your abundance out of the way. And bringing both of your arms to your knees. And straightening them out like they're kind of like straps. And we're just going to do some cat and cow tilts here. So inhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. And be mindful of your ribs being the primary mover of your cat-cow. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cow. So a few cycles here. On your next cycle, roll over your feet and meet me in table. Feel your hands and your knees firmly rooted into the earth. And tucking your toes under. Walk your two hands forward, meeting me in extended puppy. Lengthening out your entire spine. If you can, release your forehead to the earth, meeting your third eye, exploding it wide open for the night, connecting with your spirit. And from here, tuck your toes, push up into downward facing dog. If this is your first dog of the day, pedal your feet. Feel free to wag your tail, getting another side stretch. Your first down dog, or maybe it's not your first down dog of the day, teachers. From here, jump or step to the front of the mat. join me in mountain pose. From your mountain pose, feeling your feet grounded firmly into the earth. Lift and spread your toes. Keep a soft bend in your knees. Hug your leg muscles into your leg bones. Feeling your hips and pelvis level. Spine straight. Lift and roll your shoulders a few times. And then release them down into your back. Rotate your arms out so that your palms face in front of you. Feeling the strength of your mountain. From here, we're going to ground firmly into our left foot, and we'll lift our right heel off the earth. Rotate your right leg out to the side, and when you're ready, inhale your right leg up into tree. Starting first in prayer position. Tonight, why don't we pick a hand pose we don't normally do? Whether it be reaching up, you can connect your two arms behind your back, backwards namaste, any which way, yogi's choice. And if you need a little support, feel free to use the wall. Get that balance we all seek in our yoga practice. On your next inhale, perhaps look at me first before you make any movements. We're going to move from tree into the figure 4 squat. So moving our right foot, we'll cross it over our front of our thigh. Why don't we all meet in prayer pose and sink your booty down, engaging your quads, protecting your knee. Breathe into this pose. We're starting to burn our fire, our tapas. Everyone looks really good. When you're ready, come back up to tree, and then meet me back in mountain on your exhale. So connecting two movements together, all focused on balance. Find your drishti. Ground into your right foot and lift your left heel off the earth. Pivot your left leg out to the side. Slowly, slowly bring your left foot into your tree, finding a different arm pose that is your comfort zone. When you're ready, moving into our figure 4 squat, sinking down as low as feels comfortable for you. Keeping your drishti in your gaze. And on your next inhale, meet back in tree. Control, slowly, slowly, bring me back into mountain pose. Okay. Are we a little warm yet? Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so we'll all turn to face one side of the long end of our mat, since we're in a circle, whichever way you feel like. Hopefully my instructions will be clear enough. You can just listen if you can't see me. So starting in mountain. Step our feet out wide. Rotating your left foot in, your right foot out. Taking our sweater off. Lift and spread your collarbone. Open your arms out wide. Bend your right front knee into a 90. And your gaze reaches over your front hand into warrior 2. Feeling that strength, feeling that power.
Drop your back arm. Flip your palm up, front palm up, and reverse your warrior. And we'll shift back to warrior two, arms, and then slowly, slowly angle towards our extended side angle. Reaching your right elbow over your right knee and your left arm over your left ear. Your gaze can reach the sky if you find your strength and balance. If you need a block, I'm sorry I didn't cue you to grab it. But when you're ready on your next inhale, meet me back to warrior two. Straighten your front leg. Face your toes forward, and let's swivel back in. Feel the change on the right side of your body, the leg, the strength. When you're ready, step out wide once more. Angling your right foot in, your left foot out. Bending your left knee to a 90 degree. And open your arms up wide, taking off your sweater. Your gaze is over your left fingertips. And maybe you can look at your fingertips and look past the fingertips, so you have a dual gaze. From there, dropping your back arm, flipping your palm up, and reversing your warrior. Feeling that side stretch, breathing into your left side of your lungs. And when you're ready, slowly, slowly bend forward over your front knee, moving into extended side angle, reaching your right hand in a diagonal line from your hand all the way to the side of your foot. You're in one straight line, extended side angle. Gaze lifts the sky if you can. Look straight up or down towards the earth. And come back to warrior two. Lower your arms. Your toes point forward. And we'll swivel in once more. Meeting at the top of your mat, no longer on the long end. So meet at the top of the mat. Once again into mountain pose. Sweep your arms up into Urdhva Hastasana and folding over. Uttanasana. Halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And fold back down. Ardha Uttanasana. Hands on knees, flat back, and Uttanasana. One more time. So we honor our sequence of threes, and exhale back down. Planting your two hands down to the earth, step your feet back into downward facing dog. And let your knees lower. Your two big toes connect, pushing over your hips and extending into child's pose. Feeling that length. If you can, connect your forehead to the earth one more time, connecting to your third eye. On your next inhale, let's meet back one more time in downward facing dog. From here, we'll move into a plank, Palakasana, flat back. Strength comes out of your toes, out of the balls of your feet, out of the fingertips, out of your palms. And you might want to step your right hand closer to the midline. And we'll rotate our feet out to the left side. And we'll open up into side plank. Vasista Asana. So you can stack your feet, you can have your knee bent on the floor, you can have one foot back in front of the other. If you have it in your practice, you can lift your leg, your top leg off the earth into tree or star, feeling that strength, that tapas energy. We're burning our fire tonight. And when you're ready, meet me back in plank. Plank is our resting pose. Side two, we'll scoot our left hand closer to midline and rotate both of your feet to the right side, opening up into your side plank towards the right side. Feeling that strength all the way from your palm all the way to the sky. If you can, reach your gaze up to the sky, keeping your hips lifted. Wonderful. Meet me back in plank. Drop your knees down. Push back into child's pose once again. The yin and the yang. With all of the fire, we still have water. From child's pose, come up to your knees, rotate your legs around, and meet me in Dandasana, step pose. Doesn't that feel good? Mm-hmm. From here, we will bend our right leg and pull it in, getting ready for head to knee pose. Your feet are flexed, engaged. From here, lengthen, hinging at the hips, and folding forward, keeping your natural curve of your spine. Go to your comfort zone. No pain. This is one of my very favorite places. Always. Feeling that stretch in your lower back, side body, upper back, hamstrings. When you're ready, inhale back up to center. Lengthen your right leg out. And bring your left leg in. Lengthen here. Inhale, hinging at your hips, folding over your right foot. Feeling that length. Feeling grounded to the earth. Feeling the earth rising to meet you where you are tonight. Pose. We'll meet in Baddha Asana for symmetry's sake. And fold forward to your edge. Feel free to use your elbows to add a little pressure, but not too much. Just right, like Goldilocks. Inhale up to center. Namaste, yogis.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Nicely done.
The last minute too. It's about a whole month to prepare. You only had a few days.
Yes.
Nice
Nice job.
Good job.
we get the rest of the asanas covered for the weekend?
I'll have to go back and check. There was one date that was still left.
Cynthia, Cynthia, you're teaching Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Cynthia's teaching Sunday. Okay, good, thank you.
Is anyone teaching tomorrow?
Kelly.
I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're gonna do chakra practice
Kelly's
tomorrow.
gonna do chakra practice.
Okay, cool.
So has everybody taught now? Has everybody taught that's intending to teach? If you haven't, email Kelly and I, okay?
The last I checked, there was still one spot open.
I think there is.
So we still need one
So we
volunteer.
need, Miriam, have you taught yet?
So, can't remember.
No, so Miriam, you're gonna teach the spot that's open, right?
It's a Friday.
Is it Friday? Oh, that won't
Yeah, I
work.
think you already told me that.
Pardon?
I said I thought that was the day that you told me that I was switched to. No?
Oh, yeah, so you can switch with somebody. Maybe whoever's doing Sunday or Saturday can switch with you.
Yeah, I can switch with her because I've already taught twice now.
All right,
So.
okay, so Liz says she'll switch with you. So you guys,
Let me just double check.
yeah,
to make
Kelly's
sure.
double checking right now.
Okay, no worries.
That's a good thing to do.
Yeah, Friday night is still available, but Miriam is scheduled for Sunday.
Miriam's scheduled for Sunday.
Oh,
Did you
okay.
hear?
Oh, so that's good then.
All right, but we still need someone to teach Friday
Is this
night in
October?
October.
October, I'll do it.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
good.
you, Chris.
All right, we got it. Okay, Miriam, you're on Sunday in October. Yay, good. All right, thank you. I think that's everybody.
Yep, that's it.
So, just so you know, this is what they said, the host had another meeting in process. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, no, but I didn't know if you knew that was the reason.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, well, you know, I just thought I'd let you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, it's, you know, says host has another meeting. Zoom. Can we just talk? All right, so now, review Tapas. Okay, so last month we did Tapas, Niyama Tapas, right? Tapas, page 62 in your manual. If you want to pull it out again, we can just briefly review. You know, Tapas is the burning desire, the zeal, the inspiration that keeps you going, the dedication, the determination to do what it is you've set your goal to. And so that's, can show you courage, blah, 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 all that sort of, and it translates as fire. But it's a fire of desire, okay? And the desire to accomplish, to do something, to better yourself, right? So anyway, there are, Nishla Joy Devi tells us that there are 3 types of tapas. Well, there's probably lots more, but in this case, tapas of the body, and that's service, physical purity, living in virtue, etc. Tapas of the mind, tranquility, gentleness, kindness. Tapas of speech, truthful, pleasant, just like you were saying, Chris. It's, you know, all the yamas and niyamas are in here, aren't they? So you were asked then to choose one of the above forms of tapas and apply it at home or at work for the month, and then journal about what happened. So, who would like to share? Did anybody choose tapas of body?
I did.
Good. All right. Would you like to share?
Okay, so I have it written out, but I will just tell you. So this month I embarked on doing the Whole30 detox, which is a very interesting diet. I don't want to call it a diet. It's really more of an eating method where you can't have dairy and you can't have, including like yogurt, and you can have ghee.
You can have ghee?
You can have ghee.
That's dairy.
Because you're taking out the milk fats, so you can have ghee. So you can't have dairy, you can't have any grains whatsoever, no corn, nothing with corn oil, no breads, nothing. So it's it really brings you down to just vegetables, fruit, and meat or fish. And
what day are you on?
I am on day 12.
Yeah, you're not even in the good part yet.
I am not in the lion
No, you're not
blood,
in the
whatever
tiger
it's
blood,
called,
yeah,
the
you're
tiger
not-
blood. Yeah, no, I'm still in the, oh my God, I'm so tired, and my body is changing and processes everything. It is just, it's kind of cool. Like when you step out of yourself and you're like, oh wow, this is like, it's really neat. It's hard, but I just feel like, and my husband and I are both doing it. So we're persevering through it. We're supporting each other. We're rah-rah each other on. And it's just been very interesting. So it's taken a lot of dedication. Like that's really it. Like just dedicating to do it and trying to make a change in your life and your body. And so it's been good.
So may I ask, what is the goal and what's supposed to be the benefit? I've heard of it, but I don't really know.
So originally, I think, and it sounds like you know about it.
That's actually mine for this month too, so.
Is it really?
It's what?
That's actually what I did too.
Oh, did
So,
you?
yeah.
Had no idea.
Yeah, but for,
So
like, I kind of
interesting.
have a different way into it. So, I mean, you talked about all the things you can't have. I think of it as you're having only whole foods.
Yes.
Foods that are from animals, foods that are from nature, foods that nothing processed.
No process, yeah.
Everything is just food that is naturally occurring.
Yeah.
And so, for me, I started pursuing, like I've done many Whole30s in the past. I've probably done 10 over the last,
Whoa.
I don't know, 5
Wow.
years. or something.
Whoa.
During COVID, I did 3 because like I feel like there's nothing to make you feel more in control
Yeah.
of something so out of control than
Yeah.
doing Whole30. But anyway, so I really had decided that I was going to not do any more Whole30s because I was feeling like, again, I'm on this yoga path, I'm trying to come into a place of self-acceptance, blah, blah, but I actually have had a lot of health challenges this last year. I have a lot of thyroid issues that have just been all over the place, and I've just been feeling really crappy. And my joints were really burning when I was sitting and just sitting, like my joints were burning and stuff. So one of the things about coming down, like getting rid of all these processed foods is that it reduces the inflammation in your body. And that was my goal this time, is to really reduce all of those things. And of course, I'm always pursuing the completely out there notion of good sleep. Like, I don't know, it's just out there and I'm always trying to get to it. So I will say for myself that at the end of the 30 days, I really felt like it had made a huge difference in my thyroid. Like I have 2 autoimmune diseases. So this was like this Hashimoto, which is really attacking your thyroid. So like to reduce that inflammation, that was my goal.
Wow.
And to try to get over the episode that I was feeling about it. So anyway, at the end of the day, I feel like it really did help me. And I always come out of Whole30 like converted. I'm going to eat this way for the rest of my life. And then you just don't. It's really not sustainable. I think that the goal would be to be like an 80-20 split, right? And because I'm gluten free, I don't eat that stuff anyway. Like that part is very easy for me to, that's just sort of ingrained in my eating anyway. But then I went on a cruise and what can I say?
Yeah, very good.
But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I did the same thing. And
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's a really good, I mean, it is a very good part. It does have a lot of health benefits.
It
That's what I've
does.
found to be true for it.
It does.
And so yours was to get down the inflammation. Yours is to
Just really, honestly, to support my husband to lose weight.
That's
because
good.
he is really we're getting up there in age and he needs to commit to a healthier lifestyle and give up the soda and give up the bread and the weight is draining off of him. It is just unreal. And he he's like, I'm a notch slimmer in my belt, and and it's great. So we went into it together, and I thought it would be super hard for him. He's fine. I'm the one who's like, my yogurt. I just want my yogurt. But no, it's good. And you're right, as far as the health things, a lot of times people will do it because they have issues with their gut. And they find out whether or not they have sensitivities to dairy or grains or corn or you know whatever. But that's why. So you eliminate all that, and then at the end of 30 days, you pick one thing and you introduce it. Like I might choose cheese because I love cheese too, for one day, and then you go back to the whole 30 way of eating for I think 2 or 3 more days.
Yeah, to
and
like
then
reset. You're trying to like see if you can trigger a reaction in these potential foods. So the point is to be like, you know, like almost like a food challenge. Like you're eliminating all these allergens and flare up foods and all that. And then you're trying to introduce them in little chunks to see if there's a thing. Because for everybody, it's so different. I mean, you can, you know, have no problem with dairy and have terrible, like I know that you don't eat gluten, right? So like, and you know, you may or may not have an allergy or whatever, but there's lots of people who have given up gluten and it's made an enormous difference.
Yeah, I stopped having migraines.
Right. So like that would be an example. Like you'd go through all this and then you'd like have a day of eating bread and you feel like crap and you'd be like, okay, now I know. Right? Like that's for sure the thing. And you really try to be very purposeful at the end of the 30 days that you're not, you know, having pizza, which has dairy and whatever, and what you're trying to eat that thing only that day to introduce that whatever. And then see if it prompts something, and then you return, and then maybe you're trying another thing just to see what the thing is. So,
It's a lot of mindfulness and self-reflection.
That is really cool.
And it's a lot of not eating out, which is
and that's what I told Sean tonight. I was like, you know what? They should call this the whole 30 day diet. They should call this the 30 days of cooking diet.
Yeah. For sure.
That's what we're doing
by
all
the end,
the time.
You're just like,
I just want to go out to eat, just any place.
I think that's true with the vegans too. There's so much you have to chop and do, you know, constant, because it's vegetables, everything's vegetable.
I don't know, like being in Quebec City this summer and then on this cruise, like both times it was harder to find gluten-free menus than it was to find vegan items, which I thought was fascinating. My sister's been vegan for like forever and a day, like 30 years. And so like 30 years ago, it was definitely like people were like, oh my God, what's all, you know, like all that. Now, many restaurants are having these items on their menu that are vegan, and then they have some gluten-free items that they throw on there. But like I'm finding vegan to be a much more like accessible thing, which is great for people.
I agree. And there are probably things that they've made, they just didn't call them vegan before. Now they just replace butter with
of course,
with coconut oil or something like that.
That's
so
true.
Really cool. Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else do tapas of body? Liz.
To piggyback off of that, I've spent the last month like really trying to cook whole foods, not processed. I'm mostly vegan. I mean, every night I have honey every day, so I'm probably a hypocrite, but I don't know. It depends on how you want to define it, but plant-based. So, I cooked a lot. I cooked on vacation a lot. I've been slowly trying to get my family to eat as many whole plant-based foods as I can, and like it's cool because my brother and my dad, who are like basically, you know, if it comes in a box or it's a meat product, they'll eat it. So they're like, oh, this is really good. And I've been feeling better. It's been hard for me though because I don't love doing it. Like the shop, you got to do the shopping. You got to do everything. The dishes.
Organized. The planning.
Yeah, planning, exactly. So that, and then I've also been trying to do more strength training. Stay strong.
Sorry, there was a delivery at my call box. And that's my HP printer thing, which I have to have because I haven't done it. So, sorry, that was work related. It was.
I was just rambling anyway.
Oh yeah, but that was rude. I didn't think it was coming in that loud. I didn't think you'd hear me. My bad.
Is your fiance vegetarian, vegan?
No, not officially, but like he just loves not having to cook. So, he's vegetarian now. But he says to me like,
I feel a lot, I think I'm feeling a lot better now that I'm not, eating meat. But I'm slowly trying to convince him to be dairy free, but I can't control anybody else.
No. But I think half of it is if you cook and you cook good, flavorful food, people like good, flavorful food. And if you don't tell them it's vegetarian or vegan, you're just saying, I'm making a dinner tonight that has, it's just lovely. It's a bean chili, and it's just, you're going to love it. They don't know the difference, and they love good, fresh fruits. Even, you know what I mean? I don't know. Okay. Way cool. So you're eating with more awareness and trying to also share that with those you love. Awesome. Anybody else do body tapas?
I did.
All right, Debbie.
I did all three actually on my vacation. It started on our vacation at Lake Huron, and the body part was kayaking and being really physical, being out there. But also my husband Charlie and our friend Alan, whose cabin it was, they were way ahead of me because they're much stronger paddlers. But it didn't bother me. I actually was happy that they were away because you could see them paddling and talking to each other. And me, once I paddled, and I paddled for an hour, then I just sat. And in the stillness of it, and which gave me reverence for the fact that I did something physical for my body, but also for just being in nature.
Nice.
Which then led me into like my mind, how calm it made me, and the thoughts in the speech, just grateful and serene.
Very nice.
All of it, yeah. And then I tried to carry it through when I got home, but not as successful as like a 7-day vacation, because every day we were outside. We hiked, we kayaked, we would walk, we didn't swim this time, but we biked, I say that, yeah. But so I tried to do something a little bit physical outside to kind of hold on to that like feeling, because it's like once I do that, I feel better. It's like doing yoga, right? I feel calmer when I come off the mat, but I was trying to attach it to other things, like real living things.
Very good.
So I had all three.
Lovely. Wonderful. All right, anybody else have a tapas of body that they want to share? Or shall we move on? How about tapas of mind, which Debbie just talked about?
Can I share?
Yes.
So I spent a week in Vermont, and I went to drive 3 guys around, my husband too, so they could hike the AT, the Appalachian Trail.
Ah.
So it was kind of cool because I would drop them in the day, like in the morning, and then I would go and I would have the entire day to myself. They would end up driving back. They had another car at the other end. And it was the most peaceful, amazing vacation I've ever had. And I was by myself. And I would just make the plans, and sometimes I wouldn't make the plans for the day, depending on where I was dropping them. But I would go and see this waterfall and go hiking and go and do a different part of the AT than they were at. And it was, I just felt so mindful and so at peace with what I was doing, and no worries. I didn't have to worry about cooking and shopping or whatever. And the one day I decided to stop at this roadside truck, and it was a great lunch, but I sat down and this older gentleman said, "Oh, can I sit with you?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "People just aren't nice these days. You just don't know if you can sit with them." And he ended up being a Vietnam vet. He was 80 years old. And I got to hear so many cool stories about his life. And I was almost in tears at the end, because everybody knows that I took care of my mom and she passed. And I was going to buy him lunch. And he said to me, "Oh no, honey, you have better things to do." And my mother always used to say that. And I got to tell you, I was going to start crying. So I had to leave. Well, I was leaving anyway, but yeah, it was just the most amazing, moving vacation experience ever. Like, to me, and I learned so much about myself, that I could be by myself, and I'm comfortable by myself, and I enjoy being by myself. That's cool.
Yeah,
so, yeah, so that was my experience.
Wonderful. That sounds wonderful. I like that. Liz?
Oh, Debbie was talking about kayaking, and I
had a really good example of tapas. Last weekend I went camping with friends and in Green Ridge, in the Green Ridge Mountains. We were on the Potomac River. We're going kayaking, and we let the boys map the route. And it was like, oh, the current's moving us, so it'll be like a couple hours. We'll just chill. So like two hours pass, and they're like, we're not even halfway. So it turned into like nonstop paddling for like 4 hours because we were beating, like, you know, we needed daylight because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to see like our drop off point. So I'm just like paddling, and like I was so stressed, and like my shoulder had already hurt that day, and I was like, thank God for yoga, because I had to find that like steady, okay, one breath to the next. Otherwise, like I probably would have, I don't know what happened.
There's a moral to that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. You're funny. Anybody else want to share about tapas of mind? Oh, okay, Cynthia, and then I'll come to Elijah.
Okay, so I have not actually practiced anything, but it's just happening naturally. So I kind of started, I will go every to all the tapas, like what is happening to me in general. So I have been practicing yoga regularly and meditation like every morning, and it's just something that has been happening naturally. I just have this burning desire in me to better my life in every aspect. So I've been meditating, I've been practicing yoga, and I have been eating really healthy and doing other workouts. And I'm making certain life choices and kind of getting my life together, because I feel like my life was like I was all scattered, but it's just happening naturally, like everything is falling in place, and I just have this desire to want to accomplish, to want to do things, whereas that's something that I did not have before. And I'm actually studying for the LSAT to get into law school. So things have just been happening in that trajectory for me, and it's been pushing me to the direction to really make certain life changes, because I kind of have like clarity now of mind in thinking. You know, I can really focus, because yoga has really been an eye opener. I will not say an eye opener, but it's been that thing that has opened up my mind to a broader understanding of life and to see things in a broad perspective. And that desire now for me is to serve in a certain way, and I don't know how, but I just feel like in order for me to serve, I would want to serve my country. For me to serve my country, I would need to study law, because Africa is a mess right now. My country is a mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, so I really want to serve in that way, and like I really want to give back, and it's just this desire that just keeps burning in me and just keeps pushing me to fix things, because I don't like the way I see things, you know, around me. So, yeah.
You're going to do something about it, right?
I am going to do something about it.
Yeah. Good. Going to law school to do it. Yeah. You'll need the burning desire for law school, that's for sure. Awesome. Awesome, Cynthia. Thank you for sharing. Wow. Cool. And Elijah.
Yeah, I just started to practice playing the piano every day. Said I started to practice playing the piano every day.
Oh.
That's a particular big deal for me, closer to the willpower, because I've been putting that off for years. It always comes back to, you know, I could pick it back up, but I wasted so much time. And one of the things that I read in one of the books was just start small. like 5 minutes. I did that and it just naturally turns into 2 an hour.
Wow.
And I feel good about
That's awesome. A new skill, a talent, yeah.
Wait, is
Foster.
it something that's new or you're returning to it?
it. Returning to
Okay, yeah, okay. So honing a skill, yeah, nice. The dedication to do that, awesome. Very good. Okay.
Has her hand up.
Pardon?
Miriam has her hand up.
Miriam, go girl, I can't see. So you can see the hand.
Thanks. Hey, I practice Tapas of the mind this month. I am really getting serious about trying to have better conversations when I'm faced with professional challenges and personal challenges, and really trying to take a step back and figure out the most effective ways to get fruitful outcomes. So I've been just researching just different coaching methods and kind of taking some classes about to help me with coaching. And then I've realized that one of the coaching methods that I've learned is just the importance of framing a conversation in the beginning. So I've been practicing that just with like my family members and like just people I work with. And throughout the month, it's brought me a lot more peace and kind of has motivated me to have more willpower to push through more challenging times and to take a beat when a challenge does approach, because it doesn't always require an aggressive response, or even it doesn't require you to get offended by it. So it really motivated me to kind of more so dig down deep and really move forward a lot more logically as opposed to emotions, and taking time to process my emotions before I have conversations.
Wow, that's a big step. That's a, to be able to negotiate, and figure things out, and as you said, frame the situation and decide what your approach should be. That's definitely tapas of speech as well as tapas of mind. They go together, right? Yes. Awesome, Miriam. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything else? Tapas is a good one, isn't it? Because it's like almost everybody had, thoughts on things, and that's because it's our fire. It's what gets us going. It's now that you've learned the basics of the yamas, now the yamas is how you negotiate society. Niyamas is all about personal stuff, yeah? So it's how you further develop you along those same lines. So how awesome. Yay, this was wonderful.
Can I share?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes.
I did tapas of speech. That was the last one.
Yeah. Did I go too quickly on that
No,
one?
that's okay. I'll slow you down. So I picked the word serenity. And of course, like I've talked about before, coming from like an addiction perspective, the serenity prayer, that word just always stands out to me as something to strive towards. And maybe you guys didn't know me in the past life, but I'm pretty fiery. And so like the serenity is kind of like what I would like to achieve. And so trying to practice serenity in daily life, being in the field of construction, there's a lot of stuff that goes wrong. I'm the person that is like the solution person, and also people come to me with problems, and that's really why people call me to begin with, is they have problems with their surroundings, their environment. And so when things go wrong, when things go right, it's just kind of maintaining that steady calm, that serenity. And that's like just work life. I was talking to Chris about, I'm in the middle of a football season, so my son plays, my husband coaches both teams. So it's our busiest season of the year. And of course, football is an extremely emotional sport to begin with, but also trying to practice serenity while watching their sports. And instead of kind of being in the stands and like getting heated with all the other parents, which is what they all do, I've chosen to kind of like volunteer my service. So like I got to do the chains last week and it was just so much fun to be right on the sideline with the chains, and like you cannot be emotional when you're doing the chains because you're an impartial judge.
What are the chains?
Yeah.
They're moving
That's
the
like-
chains is
that's
like
like the
two
down- it's
end
like the down
markers.
markers.
Oh, okay.
So like I
got
was
it.
on the field
Okay,
holding
got
the
it.
post,
Yes,
and
yes,
like
yes.
when they make the first
They
down,
measure. Yes,
first,
yes.
they move the chains.
Yes.
So like I had to listen to the ref, and like my husband's right there, and I'm just like,
Don't worry.
I'm impartial. I am holding the chain. So that was just one way of like practicing just being impartial to the outcome of the game. Because of course I want my son's team to win or whatever. But and same with the high school. My husband's high school team is horrible this year, and just riding that wave of accepting that it's a growth year. They're young. They're just kids. They're all kids anyway. But I must say, like last week, we unfortunately witnessed a kid dislocating his hip.
Oh my
And it
God.
was so horrible because literally his leg was facing the wrong way.
Oh.
And he was the quarterback of the opposing team.
Oh.
And so just that emotion of that trauma that's right in front of you, and the ambulance coming onto the field, and just all that, like you can just feel that crackling energy in the air, but still just like I still kind of like closed my eyes and just kind of felt the air, because we're still outside and we're still in nature and under the sky, and just feeling that like it's gonna be okay. We have hospitals. He's gonna make it to the hospital, and the game will go on. And the game doesn't even matter. This kid's future ability to walk is what matters at the end of this day in particular. So it was just like kind of cool to just kind of be thoughtful in thinking of serenity in my crazy chaotic life right now, and just trying to practice that a little bit at that mindfulness every day. Like, okay, it's chaotic around me. Just go inside for a moment, check in, and then come back, and it's okay. It's that calm, that paddleboard water. Like you guys can't, I'm paddleboard, so I'm looking for like a sheet of glass. And that's, as a paddleboarder, that's what I want, is to like be able to do downward facing dog on my paddleboard and like not be rocking around. So I kind of like was also bringing it back to paddleboarding, like think about just being on that calm water, just balancing. It's just so yogic. So that was my thinking on tapas, is not so fiery, is like that slow burn, slow steady burn.
Well, and that's it. Tapas doesn't have to be rrr. It can be slow and steady. It's the dedication. It's the persistence. It's the desire that you just keep fueling little bit by little bit. It doesn't have to be in your face. That's wonderful. How's the young kid with the dislocated hip? Okay.
The other team. He's on the other team, yeah. So I'm not.
Okay.
Poor guy.
I know.
Just,
Oh yeah. I know that's painful.
It's just a kid.
Yeah.
Just a kid.
Yeah. Anybody else? Going, gone. I know. So you have supported shoulders?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. And we got the rest, girl.
Anybody need like a little break before we finish up? The last thing on our agenda this evening is supported shoulder stand and then a little Savasana. So,
Yummy.
Yummy, right.
yeah. So, we'll look at there's actually a page in your manual for supported shoulder stand. That is page 137. We'll just talk about it a little bit and then we'll get to do it. And we'll all need a strap in addition to a block. So go ahead and get a strap if you don't have that already. And we'll do it two different ways.
Yes, please. Oh, no, I have one. Never mind, my bad.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody at home?
Thanks, Brigid.
Anybody at home?
Anybody at home, is that what you said?
Let me just pass it through the Zoom lens.
So, this is called Salamba Sarvangasana. Salamba
Salamba.
Good. Sarvangasana.
Sarvangasana.
Salamba Sarvangasana.
Salamba Sarvangasana.
Nice. So salamba means supported, and sarva is all, and anga is limbs. Like ashta anga is 8 limbs. Sarva anga is all limbs. And basically it just means shoulder stand. So it's considered an inversion. Your feet are higher than your hips, which are higher than your heart. And so you get all of the key benefits of inverting poses. Here it says it stretches and strengthens the neck, shoulders, and rhomboids, so like the whole upper back area there. It will improve circulation. Gravity will help draw the blood flow back to the vital organs. It may help alleviate insomnia. This is a good one to do if you do have trouble sleeping. Chris, you can report back later if you like. But I will say a more restful version is simply legs up the wall also. So that also is good for insomnia. It may relieve sinus pressure, so kind of depends on what's going on, like in your head, if you have sinus pressure. Sometimes when you're in the inversion, it makes it better, sometimes not so much. So just go slow and see if it works for you. May help relieve menopausal discomfort as well. May help stimulate the thyroid, parathyroid, and prostate function. May help reduce varicose veins. Again, gravity is just helping the blood flow back out of the lower extremities. May calm the body and mind by activating the parasympathetic nervous system. I think that's a pretty good bet there for that one. And may support lymphatic drainage and relieve edema or swelling in the legs. So cautions or contraindications. You definitely want to be careful if you have neck or vertebral disc injury. And the gentle variation would be to not lift your hips, right? Or even to just do legs up the wall with the wall supporting your legs. A caution is menstruation, but definitely proceed with caution. You can try it and see. And first trimester of pregnancy as well. Perhaps just a little too much pressure around baby for that one. High blood pressure, because it's drawing the blood back to the heart. Perhaps that is not so helpful in this case.
Is that treated or untreated?
Untreated.
Untreated.
Definitely
So if it's treated, then they can do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But even treated, like I'm on meds, I don't stay up there as long as I might have a long time
Okay.
ago. Do you know what I mean? I go up, but I can feel it because I feel it in the head.
Okay.
Which leads to the next one, which is retinal problems or glaucoma. If there's excess pressure in your eyes, you definitely want to be careful with this one. Hiatal hernia or heart problems as well are the cautions and contraindications. So, I'll let you read through the key alignment points on your own, and we'll kind of review the common misalignment points as we practice. And so I think I'll just skip ahead to the poses with similar anatomy and or alignment. So bridge pose, Settubandha Sarvangasana, is a key one because the whole upper body, the position of the head and neck and shoulders is the same as bridge pose. So none of this, right? We're not tucking the chin into the chest and rounding the cervical spine. You're pressing the back of the head back into the floor in the same way you would for bridge. Sarvangasana, the shoulder stand proper. This is a great prep for that one. And Halasana, who is not familiar with plow pose? Let me ask that question. Okay. So,
wait, is that where you put your legs?
Yeah, it's like you come into shoulder stand and then your feet touch the earth over your head.
Okay.
Yeah, plow pose like that. So all of those have basically the same upper body, right? Alrighty, so I'm going to demo. First, we'll do it with a strap, and then we'll do it with a block. So I'm going to turn that, I think, for the folks at home. So this one, oopsie, thank you, is from Kathy, but I believe Lucy was the one who showed me.
I showed you, but Kathy's the one that showed me. Kathy,
nice,
I think Kathy. We think Kathy made it up.
Yeah, it's a nice way to support your legs, like if you don't have a wall space, for example. So you'll start from constructive rest, and constructive rest is so great because you kind of automatically have the cervical curve and the lumbar curve, the neck and the lower back. So that's what we want to keep. The base of the hips remain on the ground, And then we'll just wrap the strap around the mounds of the toes. And you can bring your elbows down to the earth, and there's just a slight pull on the strap, so there's a little resistance there. And so this would be one version of supported shoulder stand.
And can I point out?
Yeah.
She's got her ankle over her knee over her hip joint, and that's what you want. So that's the place of balance. You don't want to be pulling the legs too close to you.
Right, like
Right. And you're not trying to let the legs come away. Now, if you have tight hamstrings, you bend your knees a little bit. Yeah, but and that's going to make you work your legs more. But she's still keeping the symmetry. You know what I mean? That looks good.
Yeah.
Do you ever put your hands all the way up too?
All the way up here?
Not all the way up there, but just straighten your arms and bring your legs straight again. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I just.
I do it that way sometimes just because it feels good, but then I bring my hands back down because it gets tiring.
Yeah.
But it feels kind of nice for a nice long stretch. Yeah.
All right, want to try it? Light and constructive rest. And when you recline, just take a moment to really feel the support of the ground beneath you. So the light pressure at the back of your head and on the shoulder blades and at the back of the hips. And notice the little space at the back of the neck and the space at the lower back. So we want to maintain that space for creator at the back of the neck and at the back of the lower back. As you now lift your feet off the ground and wrap your strap around the mounts of the toes of both feet. And we'll try it both ways with the arms. Once you wrap the strap around the mounts of the toes, extend your legs to your capacity. If you can make them straight so that feet are over knees or over hips, then go there. But if you lose the lumbar curve, then bend your knees. If there's any strain, then bend your knees. And let's start at first by sliding your hands down the strap so upper arm bones come to the floor. So in that way, the shoulder blades can draw flat on your back, and you want to create just a little resistance pulling on the strap so that your feet have something to press out against. And that little bit of resistance is going to provide support for you.
I think it feels so good. It's just like a nice relaxing.
Yeah.
It's like legs of the wall, only you're working a little bit, but not a lot.
Right. And Miriam, make sure that you're keeping your lumbar curve. You might take the feet a little bit away. Yeah, that's better. Good. So you could stay here for 2 minutes or longer. What I'd like for you to do now is keep the shoulder blades on your back, but walk your hands up your strap like Lucy was explaining just a moment ago, so that way you can feel with the arms straight as well.
Yeah, don't change your leg position, just your arms, yeah.
Right. And sometimes it feels good this way too with the arms straight, but we're still letting gravity help the upper arm bones draw down towards the earth. Right? We want to keep the integration in the shoulders. And we'll take about 3 more belly breaths here. Ujjayi breath if that works for you. And then really, it's just as important coming out as coming in. We want to be just as mindful, and it's so simple. You just bend your knees, release your feet to the floor, remove your strap, and it feels natural for you.
Isn't that nice? I think it's yummy.
Questions or comments about that variation? Cool.
No, I like the instruction though that coming out is as important as going in.
Yeah.
Versus just flopping out of it.
Always.
Right.
Yeah. That's when when do people get hurt most?
Coming out.
Yeah, coming out of poses.
Right.
Yep, that's when the most injuries happen.
Okay, so with your legs bent, roll to one side so you can come back up to sitting, and that way you can see the second way. So that way that we just did is actually not in your manual, but we offer it because it's a good version. So the version that's in your manual uses a block. Now when you use the block, you could have it on the short or the medium setting, so yogi's choice there. And we'll start again from constructive rest, and it's very much like you would do for bridge pose, Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. So we're going to draw shoulder blades onto the back. We're keeping the cervical curve. We're keeping the lumbar curve. And as you press your feet into the floor, hips lift, and then you can slide the block under your hips. Again, the short or the medium setting. And the block is under the hips, like this is my lumbar spine, right? The block is below the lower back. It's right at the back of the pelvis. And then arms will stretch out straight by your sides with palms face up. And you might notice I just kind of naturally did it, pressing the back of the head down to bring shoulder blades onto the back a little more. Now you could stay right here. This will be a more supportive way to hold your supported shoulder stand. It puts the salamba in salamba, sarvanasana, or kind of a middle step. You can lift your feet and keep the knees bent. It is easier to keep the lumbar curve when the legs are bent. And then as long as hamstrings allow it, then you could stretch your legs nice and straight. Do you like that, Michael?
That's Michael.
So one thing that I generally say in my classes too when we're doing this pose is let your gaze be on your big toes. Your big toes will be your drishti. There is a reflexology point in the big toes connected to the pineal gland, so just a little added stimulation to the brain that way.
And may I just point out, that's a big back bend. I usually cue it just on the lower end. Now, Kelly is, has beautiful back bends, and she's good at it. That's too much for someone with low back issues, neck issues, like me.
Yeah.
So I teach it on the low end only, because, and that it depends, if you're teaching it at the end of class and you want people to be winding down, you don't want to do a huge back bend. You want to do it on the lower. If you're doing it at the beginning of class after you warm them up to get them, as a, to have them do a passive back bend, a supported back bend, then you might want to take it higher. So just think about when you're doing it. Because she looked beautiful in that back bend, and I'm thinking, oh, my back would kill me.
And so again, coming out, you want to bend your knees, feet on the floor, press the feet down to remove the block. And then it's always nice to just take a few breaths after a restorative pose like that so you can really feel the effects of your shape that you just did.
And then don't turn your head or lift your head.
Oh yeah, I was turning my head a lot.
Yes.
Don't do that.
Yeah. She's a teacher and she was talking, but
do as I say, not as I do. I actually try not to. But
I do too. No, we're guilty.
All right. Shall we try?
Mm-hmm.
So starting constructive rest and have your block nearby. And you can have your elbows bent with your upper arm bones right by your sides. And then when the elbows are bent, press your upper arm bones into the floor to help draw shoulder blades onto the back a little more. So we start with that sense of openness already. Press your feet into the floor to lift your hips up, and then place the block under the hips. So not the lumbar spine, but at the back of the pelvis.
Yeah, the sacrum.
The sacrum, thank you. And then just let gravity help your hips settle down into the block, and yet you're still holding just enough engagement to keep the lumbar curve, right? Press the back of your head gently to the floor to draw shoulder blades onto your back a little bit more. And then once you have that expansion in the heart space, then you have the option, if you need more support, feet stay on the floor. Or lift a knee and then lift another knee. Notice how that feels with the legs bent. Keep the lumbar curve. And then final option is to extend the legs a bit straighter.
Nice.
Yeah, looking good. So we'll take a few belly breaths here, and if you like Ujjayi breath, you could do that. I do extend the arms out straight with the palms face up. If that's comfortable for you, you don't have to have them bent. They can be palms face up. That'll help keep the shoulder blades on the back. Looking good, everyone. So if you can, we'll take up to 3 more belly breaths here, but if you need to come down before then, just bend your knees and bring your feet back to the floor. Otherwise, after those 3 more breaths, then you get to bend your knees and bring your feet back down to the floor if they weren't already. And once your feet come back to the floor, even if they were there already, let's take about 3 or so more breaths, just feeling into the body here and noticing what you notice about your experience. Any greater sense of relaxation or release or settling. And then take your time as you press your feet into the earth, and we'll lift the hips in order to remove the block And then lower your hips back to the ground. So I'm feeling like we might need a little windshield wipers here. Let's take the arms wide, a little below shoulder height. Keep your legs bent, but we'll have outer edge of the feet mat distance apart. And then let the legs just slowly flow from side to side a bit. And move any props out of the way and just let it feel good, relaxing in the hips and lower back. We've been sitting a lot this evening.
Oh, no, yeah, let me turn the legs over.
Yeah. I was gonna ask if anyone had any questions about that first.
How long would you, if you were doing this in class, like, how long do you let them stay with their legs? Like, do you generally think 4 or 5 breaths, or like, how long would you?
Yeah, like 4 to 6 breaths, maybe 8 breaths. In level 2, we'll sometimes do this and I'll like hold for a minute. But I'll always give the option, like if you need to come down before I call time, then bend your knees and bring your feet down. But yeah, I would say 30 seconds to a minute. And 30 seconds is usually 4 to 6 breaths.
So doing the supported version of it would be more active on the part of the student, whereas legs up the wall would be more restorative? Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Right, so you wouldn't, okay, so it wouldn't be necessarily like you do legs up the wall because your hamstrings were tighter versus a person in the class. Does that make sense? Like it would be sort of 2 different reasons.
Well, they kind of go together also, right? Like if hamstrings are tight, then having your legs at the wall would be really supportive for you. But also having your legs at the wall is going to be more restorative than, working a little bit more to hold your legs without support.
Yeah, because if your hamstrings are tighter, you got to move your bottom away from the wall a little bit.
Right.
So that means the wall gives you more support, so it is more restorative, I think.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any questions about that? All right, I'm gonna ring the bell on that. And then we'll do Savasana and I'll ring the bell again after that.
Cool.
So that was a good prelude to Savasana.
Yeah.
You get to recline now and use any props that would be supportive for you.
Oops.
If you need something to stay warm or stay comfortable.
I was trying to get up, but I lost my balance.
And just take your time to settle. So let your feet be a little wider than hip distance apart. Let your arms be a few inches away from the sides of your body as well. If it's helpful, gently press the back of your head towards the floor to bring the shoulder blades flat on your back. Notice relative heaviness in your bones. As gravity holds you supported, connected to the earth below. And then we'll simply enjoy an effortless flow of your breathing. next breath extends out into fingertips and down into toes and circulates around the top of your head. Bringing vital life force back to every cell, every tissue of your body. And then slowly, gradually, you can bring some small movements back to the body as well. Your fingers or toes or wrists or ankles. Stretching through arms and legs. You might slide your arms along the ground up over your head to enjoy a full body stretch. And just take your time as you bend both legs and roll to your right side or the side that's comfortable for you. Take a few breaths on your side as well, just reorienting, coming back to your body. And then use both arms for support. Gently press your way back up. Comfortable upright seat. There's no hurry. In your upright seat, you might bring palms together, hands to your heart center. Or if it feels more natural for you this evening, you might place one hand over the heart space, the center of the chest, and other hand over that hand, whichever you prefer. And just be present to your own experience in this moment, this gathering of this wonderful community. If it feels right for you internally, you might choose to offer a little gratitude for this time together, and we can study more deeply this practice that we all love, that we all care about. And then we'll send that gratitude out into the world in the sound of Om one time. You can exhale to prepare, and then we'll take a full breath in. The light of awareness in me greets that very same radiant light in you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thanks, everyone.
Namaste,
everybody. Namaste, folks at home.
Namaste.
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 Have a great evening.
Namaste. Namaste. Bye. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love Friday nights. Aren't they the best? It's like we get real, we get real with ourselves and with each other.